Dundee is famous for this, Captain Scott's old ship, the Discovery. It's also one of the few places that voted yes to independence 2 years ago. So let's put the two things together and discover if there's appetite for another referendum. Anchors away. Does this thing go any faster?
Former SNP candidate Tony wants to get things moving because of Brexit, and he's proposing a vote on another referendum at the party's conference this week.
The resolution is saying that the people of Scotland voted Remain on the 23rd of June. That vote needs to be respected, and if Theresa May will not respect that vote, that we will be left with no choice but to move forward to a second independence referendum, start preparing for a second independence referendum.
But the SNP leadership here in Dundee and the First Minister Nicola Sturgeon reckon another referendum is probably a bit further in the distance.
Nicola has already said it's the Scottish people who will decide when there's a referendum. And that is something which I think politicians and indeed journalists south of the border find very hard to understand. They see future dominated by party politics, by politicians. I think she's perfectly correct to say that when the people are showing a demand for the referendum, that is when we go for it.
All welcome except Tories. That's clever. I come along if you've got the evening free.
Out of everyone, the Scottish Socialists sound the keenest on a second referendum. So keen, they're handing out leaflets about it in the rain.
I think the SNP are being very cautious about it. They have to balance all their various interests as a party, whereas the grassroots movement has a little bit more leeway. They can go out and they can have these conversations that need to be had, whereas the SNP, they've got local elections next year. They've got their own party advantage to think about, whereas people on the ground, they're really itching to get back talking to folk.
The opinion polls show that the Scottish people aren't any more or less ready to sail away from the rest of the UK. And it's the government in London at the helm, because only they have the power to offer a legally binding second vote.
That was Adam. As he said, a second independence referendum needs to be agreed by the UK government. And it's not clear when the SNP wants it to happen. But First Minister Nicola Sturgeon made a statement of intent this morning as she announced plans to publish a consultation on a draft referendum bill as soon as next week.
On the morning after the referendum, I said I would protect Scotland's ability to make that choice. In our programme for government, I committed to publishing a draft referendum bill. I am determined that Scotland will have the ability to reconsider the question of independence and to do so before the UK leaves the EU if that is necessary to protect our country's interests. So I can confirm today that the independence referendum bill will be published for consultation next week.